Hello, everybody. All right, we're letting everybody in right now, and we're going to get started on today's little lesson. Excited to have all of you here. Still some people popping in. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get started if that's okay. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully most of you are coming back to us. I'm Ashley with Hello Big Idea, and I have two of my teammates here today, Taylor and Caroline, the same people who've been on our calls so far. So we're excited to talk to you today. Previously, we've gone through a variety of different things with your brand and talking all about social media and what that looks like, specifically in this industry. Our first class was all Social Media 101, and we went through just the basics of platforms and content pillars. Hopefully you had some time to do your homework there, and you've at least established a baseline of what you want those content pillars to be and where you're headed in this social media realm. Last week, we talked all about your brand on social media. So looking at, are you on a team, an individual? Are there standards or guidelines we need to follow? Do you need a logo? Do you need a headshot? Everything to do with that. We showed you examples of like how to integrate a brand in this industry into the different parts and pieces of a digital space. And then we gave you a little homework. Your homework last week was one to kind of define your brand, whether that's a logo or a headshot, a color palette, some type, potentially a photo style. Hopefully you got through some of that homework. If not, we're going to follow up a little bit on some of that again today. Hopefully you got a chance to maybe start applying that brand to your social platforms, whether that be like an updated profile image or a title or a bio. The one tool that we highly recommended to you last class was Canva. So if you didn't make a Canva account or have questions about that, one of our breakout rooms today is specifically going to be on Canva. So you can jump back into that breakout room if you're interested today and get some more help there. Or if you haven't set up a Canva account, again, highly recommend that you do so, especially if you're going to be creating content. And then we also gave you a little bit of homework of posting your first image that had something to do with kind of this brand that you're really putting together. So hopefully you all did that. If you have questions along the way, we have people in the chat that are happy to help. So feel free to ask questions and chat along with us, say hello, tell us who you are, that kind of thing. So yeah, please feel free to have a conversation there. All right, this week we are going to talk about photography on your phone, right? It's the thing we always have with us. It's the thing that we just, I don't know how you take photos or what that world looks like for you. I'm going to share my screen right now, similar to how I have done previously in other classes. Again, here's a breakdown. Next week, we're going to talk, or in 2 weeks, sorry, we're going to talk about video, which is all the rage right now in all different forms, shapes, and sizes. This week, we're really just going to talk mostly about photography. And next week, we'll get into all the burning questions about reels and stories and walkthroughs and slow motion and time lapses and all the different types of video and animation that you can integrate into your social media if you choose to do so. But this week, we're talking about photography on your phone. I want to give you some tips. Feel free to write these down. Feel free to screenshot this, whatever you want to do. I believe, per usual, we will provide you with a resource and a recording after this. So stay tuned for that. My number one tip to people that want to take photos on their phone is literally wiping off your camera. People don't understand that they put their thumbprints all over that and they can't figure out why their photos are blurry. If you just take your sleeve and wipe it off, your pictures are, whew, it will do you wonders. They will look crystal clear after that. So seriously, It's the simplest tip in the world, but that is my number one tip. People forget to do it. They post these blurry photos. They can't figure out why their photos don't look so great. And it's literally because they have a big old fat thumbprint on their lens. So that is my number one tip. If you don't do anything else, just wipe off your camera first. But anyhow, let's talk about some just very simple photography basics. One is lighting. Lighting's everything in photography. If you're in a house and it's gloomy out, open the windows. Get as much natural light as you possibly can someplace into your space, and that'll make all the difference. And then you'll have to play. Obviously, if you're shooting with light directly behind you, like as you guys know on Zoom calls and stuff, if you have a window behind you, how you kind of like become a person of interest, right? Like you look like you're in a cops or something. Versus if the light's in front of you, that's a whole different composure and lighting. So think through that. Where's the light coming from? What does that look like? Don't recommend zooming in. Like a lot of people want to take it and like start zooming in on something. Just go closer. Honestly, that ruins the quality of your photo that you're going to take, and it immediately takes it down in quality when you start zooming. So try to avoid that zoom feature if at all possible. I don't know what kind of phones everybody has here. If you have an iPhone, if you have a Android, I assume most people have iPhones, and maybe you want to drop it in the chat what kind of phone you have. But there is a way to take the photo with your volume button on the side, which allows you to stabilize your phone a little bit better. So that's a little tip that you can do. And we're going to practice that in or ask questions around that in a little breakout room today, if you're interested. Shoot horizontally. So it allows you space specifically in interiors. If you're taking photos of houses, or if you're walking through a house, to have a wider angle and be able to edit a little bit. So think about that in a horizontal perspective, and turn your phone and maybe take a couple shots, maybe do one of each to see which one you like better, giving yourself options along the way. Position yourself in a corner room to get the most wide shot. Like think about the angles that you're looking at. Oftentimes we hold the phone up like this, when oftentimes we need to bring it down closer to our belly button to get a better view, or kind of get the lines right within our photo. But just thinking through those details a little bit can make your photos so much better as you take them. Watch out for mirrors. That's a big one. Or don't. Take a selfie in a mirror and post it. Be authentic. Highly recommend you have an iPhone 11 or better for the best quality photo on your phone. I cannot speak to Android, unfortunately, on type of quality of camera. I'm wildly unfamiliar there, but I'm guessing it's fairly up to date with what a photo turns out as. I just recommend that if you do have an iPhone, or if it's old and you're ready to upgrade, go upgrade that sucker and get yourself a better quality camera that you can take some photos with. A couple places we've talked to you about so far, applying your stories or applying your photos, is on stories. Facebook and Instagram both have a stories feature in which you can apply these photos. One piece of my homework is going to kind of entail that for you today. So if you choose to get a little fancy with it, thinking through stories. Stories is more of a vertical option versus your post is going to be very square. And then even Facebook, sometimes we recommend just taking full horizontal. So if you're specifically shooting to post to your story, you're going to want to go vertical with your phone. One fun fact about your phone, and we'll practice this in a breakout session, is that when you go to that camera, I know that's going to look a little funny, you have these options down at the bottom. And if you swipe up on that photo option, it gives you more options. And then you can now change the size if you want it to be long or square, or the proportion of the photo that you're taking. I oftentimes go to the 16:9 option because that's the long photo that takes up your entire length of your screen. Doesn't give you a black line at the bottom or top when you upload it to a platform. So options there for how to shoot when you're shooting. And obviously there's different features specifically on an iPhone, whether it be cinematic or portrait. I most often shoot just in regular photo when I'm needing something. I very rarely use those other options. Take multiple shots. and figure out what works best for you. But options are always great to have as you go through and upload those. Oftentimes what I do is I take photos in the moment, and then once I'm sitting at my computer or I have a downtime, instead of just immediately editing and posting right there, I take the time to be present where I'm at, snap the photos that I want, and then later on go post them when I have a little bit of time and space to be able to do so. Some don'ts: crazy filters, highly don't recommend it. Wouldn't recommend, unless you are like just die hard, this one filter, it's all I'm going to use whenever I'm going to use it. I think that the world's a little bit over filters, and it just kind of degrades your photo a little bit. If you're going to edit at all, we have a few apps we're going to recommend to you. Film with a window behind a person, and think through where your lighting is, most importantly. So if you're thinking through where that light's coming from, like my screen is a light right now on my face, I can tell while I'm looking at you guys. I have a window over here that's coming in as well. So just thinking through where your lighting is as you're going through, as you're posting on stories, can be really important. Don't tilt the phone. Oftentimes we think, oh, this is going to be a better option if I just go like this, and it's not. It's confusing to your viewer. They feel like they have to tilt their head to understand, and I don't recommend it. A few apps that we recommend. In fact, I've done a little before and after visual here for you guys. This is what sits right in front of me, actually, in my office. And I shot it, I don't know, a couple hours ago. So the one on the left is just raw right off my phone. The one on the right, I dropped into Lightroom really quickly, added 3 or 4 like brightening features to it, and exported it back out, gave it a little bit of a different look or feel. You know, everybody's different with how they choose to edit. We're going to do some practicing here. So if you're interested, 3 apps we recommend. I think one of these costs money, $1 or so. Lightroom, it's what I personally use. Everybody chooses something different. Visco is another very popular one. I think most of our team, when I asked them what they use, this was the option. And then a Snapseed is another good little editing feature. The supporting app I still will continue to recommend to you that you can utilize your photos within or graphics within is that Canva. And again, that'll be one of our breakout rooms that we choose today. So if you are still interested in getting that Canva account set up or getting the app on your phone and need some help to do so, we can help provide that for you. All right. Before we do breakout rooms, which again, I will go over, I always love to provide you a little bit of homework. I think photography and just taking photos takes practice. People, it becomes back of mind or back burner. They don't think through it, or they think that, you know, they just don't know. And all of that is practice and just taking photos and thinking through it and practicing creating that content that you want to put out there. Making new photos, like think through when you're in a house, what does that look like? Within your content pillars, make that a habit, right? We've talked about those content pillars. That's kind of like my last little tip is, if you don't, number 1 tip so far, if you have not gotten to those content pillars, that's where you need to go back to. First and foremost, make those content pillars. A lot of you, when we talked about content pillars, had like wine or neighborhoods in Kansas City or shopping local or something like that involved. So don't forget to include those when you're thinking of a photo or snapping something. So my challenge to you is to record a walkthrough of a house, even if it's just you walking in the door, walking through a few rooms maybe, and put a still photo on the front end, put that on your story, maybe give the location of the house, upload, put the video on there of you walking through the house, and then that same photo that you snapped at the beginning, at the end of the story. So this is a 3-part story: photo, video, photo. On the last one, give maybe some details on the house: beds, baths, location, realtor name, or something like that, and see what comes of it. And see if you can draw any interest or conversation around where you're at and what you're doing. That could, oh gosh. sorry, I have a wiener dog, and when anything happens, he's barky. He's cute, but barky. Hey, anyhow, highly recommend that 3-part story, photo, video, photo. My next challenge and homework to you is take a selfie of some kind. Prop your phone up and set the timer, take it in your car, take it in a house you're in, and post a little something about you being a realtor. Post it to your story that disappears in 24 hours, so you don't need to feel like it's existing on the internet forever or feel uncomfortable around it, and just give a little bit of information of who you are as a realtor. And again, see what kind of conversation you can potentially start around that. I think that you'd probably be a little bit surprised. Okay, do we have any questions that I missed? Caroline, Taylor?
We have a question on where to edit photos on your PC. That definitely could be Canva.
Yep, there's an option on Canva. Here's the thing about editing on your PC. If you've taken it on your phone, I think you're complicating things by taking it to your PC and then probably back to your phone to post again. I think that there's probably a complication level of if you took the photo on your phone, you're taking it to your PC, and now you're taking it back to your phone. That feels like an extra step that is pretty unnecessary if you're taking the original photo on your phone. Now, if you're taking it with like a professional camera and uploading it to your computer, that could be a different option. But realistically, it feels like we're adding an extra step in there. If you're taking it on your phone, edit it on your PC, and then back to your phone so you can post it, I'm not sure I'd make that recommendation at all. And that's why I think we have apps on your phone that I think would be the best option, especially to save you time and energy and effort where it doesn't need to be exhausted. So that's probably my 2 cents there. Caroline, what do you got?
If you want to scroll back up to the apps we recommend.
Yeah.
So everyone can see that Lightroom, Visco, Snapseed are those 3 apps you can download to your phone. Can you please go through a story on our phones? Show us where to go exactly. So we can do that in a breakout, or should we do that now or in a breakout room?
No, let's do that in the breakout room. That's
Okay.
totally what our breakout room is for today. And we will show you in our breakout room. What we want to do is, like, 1, help you download an app if you haven't done so already. 2, just prep, like literally hold your phone up and take a picture of something that's in front of you, and let's practice what that looks like. The other thing I forgot to mention that sometimes an app isn't needed on a newer iPhone because you could edit directly in the camera. And sometimes I do that to just make life easier. And we can walk you through what that looks like and practice doing that. And then our next step from there will be like, okay, I have this photo. What happens next? Do I post it to my story? Do I post it to my feed? Where does it go? And what does that look like? We will help walk you through that through everything. So the other thing that I have included and will drop into this resource for you is a few screen recordings of us doing the very things that we're telling you about, so that you can see, like, this very photo, as I edited it, I screen recorded it so that you guys could see exactly what I did to get to that spot. So yes, we will definitely practice that. All right. Any other questions, Caroline?
Yes. Do you recommend the stick?
Like a selfie stick? I mean, you can.
I'm
Still
good.
up to you.
I think either a selfie stick or a iPhone stabilizer is great if you really want to just have just make things easier on yourself and you feel like you're going to do this a lot. Those are iPhone stabilizers are great if you plan on taking a lot of video, just because it kind of, it stabilizes it and it kind of smooths it out, and it really does make it look even more professional than you just walking through. But I believe those are probably a little bit more of an investment than a selfie stick. But
you know what I do a lot? I just use like I have a candle sitting here on my desk. I'll just literally prop my phone up against it as I'm sitting here, and I'll put the camera on me and set a timer and take multiple shots of myself. Like, sometimes it's as easy as just like propping your phone up where you want to and thinking again about where that light is, and it can be that simple. So a selfie stick can be fine. there's probably no real harm in it, but just thinking about where you can prop your phone sometimes, especially if you want yourself to be in the photo, can just be an easy thing to do.
We have what's the difference between a story and a reel? That's pretty simple. They can essentially be the same content. It's just a story. It only lasts for 24 hours on your like little story icon. And then a reel will live in your feed like a regular photo post or whatever post. So essentially you can upload to both, like same video, you could put on both places. You could put the same photos or whatever, but it's just how long it's going to last and where it's going to live. Stories you can save to highlights on your profile, which makes them last longer. But again, a reel lives in the feed, so it's very clear and easy to find if someone's coming to your profile.
Yeah, the other thing I would add there is a reel is a little bit more curated. Usually it usually has kind of a trend around it or a sound around it, or it's a little bit more curated, where a story sometimes is a little bit more raw, right? Like it's a little bit less
a little bit less of a production.
Yeah, of a little bit of a production where it's just kind of, you walked through, you recorded it, maybe you narrated it as you walked through, or maybe you cut the sound completely as you did it and you just put some text over top. It's usually a little less curated on the story side versus the reel. It's going to be more of a production. And we're going to talk a lot about that next week, because that all, or 2 weeks, I'm sorry, because that all has to do with video.
After you watch a story, can you watch it again or does it go away? You can watch a story as many times in that 24 hours that it's posted. After the 24 hours, it expires and goes away, unless, like I said, you add it to the highlight.
Yes.
If I get technical, you can go back into your own archives and find your old stories and add them to highlights after the fact. But that is a little bit trickier. But if you within the 24-hour window, when you open up your stories, there's an option to add that story to a highlight, and that will save it onto your profile.
Yeah. Good questions there. Thank you. Okay. What we're going to do now is stick you in 2 different breakout rooms if you're interested. One breakout room is going to be about literally practicing taking a photo and editing it right there on your phone with Caroline. And if you're interested in revisiting that Canva conversation about that brand and like the uses of Canva and how to get logged in, how to utilize some of those features, we're going to put you in a breakout room with Taylor, and she will help you walk through that. And so give me a second and I will set those up. Okay. I say
I'm just going to wait another minute or so while people get themselves sorted. Okay, we can go ahead and get started. First, I'm just going to ask, do we want to talk specific to apps or the Instagram platform? Does anyone have any questions off the bat about anything specific?
So like, which is the preferred app, right? She mentioned the three and she uses Lightroom. What makes Lightroom a preferred app over the other?
So since we are designers, Lightroom is an Adobe software, so it kind of coincides with all the other softwares that we use, like
Gotcha.
Illustrator and Photoshop and such. So it's kind of just more familiar to us. It is fairly simple. I can show you. So like this, trying to make the glare. So this is what happens. This is just mine. It just kind of has all your photos in there. So let me show you what happens when I upload a photo. Okay, so this is a photo I just took of my dining room table in the app. So down here at the bottom, it shows all these different options: crop, light, color, all the just like kind of basic photo options. And then when you open them up, they kind of like, here's the light option. It's got exposure, all the different just kind of expands your options. So there's a lot of options within Lightroom, and it can be kind of daunting if you're not needing all those options. Sometimes that's just unnecessary. One good thing about Lightroom though is there is the auto button, and it just kind of like automatically, like, this is a terrible glare right here, but it kind of automatically fixes some of the lighting things. Obviously you can go past the auto if certain lighting isn't exactly where you want it and stuff like that. But and then there is like a paid version of Lightroom where you can start doing some like more Photoshop-esque treatments, but that's probably a little bit much. I also believe, I can't see it on my end because I already have the app installed, but either Lightroom or Visco, I believe it's Lightroom, is a paid app. So I think it's like $1 or $2 or something. But I'm also just going to show you what it looks like editing on. So this is just the same photo in my photos on my iPhone. Up in the top corner, there's an edit. And when you open that up, it also opens up those options like I just showed you in the Lightroom. However, these are a lot more simplified. So these are great if you're just trying to simply brighten it a little bit or straighten it up, kind of crop it. Something good to keep in mind if you have a photo of a space is if you can kind of tell it's a little tilted, just straightening it so you're so the ground or table or couch, just straightening it really can clean up the look. I wish there was a better way to show this, but so here we've got, these are like lighting options here, exposure, brilliance, and you just kind of drag this little, oh, you can't see that. You just kind of drag this around and you can see it, how it changes things. Then the crop, so there's straighten, there's like a tilt option. So like straighten would be like if this table was kind of crooked, it pulls up a grid and then you can kind of line it up, make things straight, as well as then at the top, you can then crop your images. So we can do a square depending on where you're going to post this. Like if you're posting something to stories, 9:16 is what you want because it's got that tall, skinny, right? If it's going in the feed, you can do something more square or even like a little, horizontal. There we go. Even something a little bit more horizontal is better for the feed. But again, this is all can be done literally in your Photos app on your iPhone. And then when you're done, you've got, obviously don't edit a photo like this, but you get the picture. You can do all that simply from your iPhone app.
Hey, Caroline. Question for you.
Yes.
I just recently purchased an iPhone 13 Pro. Would you recommend just sticking with the features of that if you have that phone versus using any of the apps?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is all personal preference. Like if you're comfortable and you can do what you want to do within the iPhone, stick to it. Keep it simple for yourself. Especially the more comfortable and familiar you'll get with it, you'll kind of get into a rhythm of, this is how I edit all my photos. I brighten it a little bit. I straighten it out, I crop it this way, done. So once you kind of get into that rhythm and you kind of get used to it and comfortable with it, it'll start going pretty fast. But again, yeah, it's definitely a personal preference, and especially iPhone 13 obviously has great photo editing capabilities compared to earlier models. So you're definitely got probably everything you need there.
Okay, other question is, she had made a comment about crazy filters, which is left to interpretation as to what's crazy. So curious to know,
yes.
what is crazy to you guys?
So let's see. So when you're in, this is a terrible, I'm just gonna take a real quick photo and then show you. Okay. So here's the picture. Here's a photo. Filters that would be considered crazy. Actually, I guess on stories, you got it. So I would consider crazy filters, anything that drastically alters the color or the lighting to make it appear totally different from what it is in real life. Like okay, again, this is kind of difficult to show, but some of those filters like have that kind of like orangey haze on it, or make the blues really, really bright blue, or kind of make your whites a dark gray. Personally, in your guys' industry, I wouldn't recommend choosing filters that drastically alter colors, because you don't want to post a photo of a living room or a kitchen even, and it looks completely different than what it looks like in real life. That's just misleading. And then obviously I think what else I would consider crazy filters is also just keeping things professional. Don't do weird filters on your face if you're going to post like a selfie or something like that. The ones that add like freckles and piercing, stuff like that. Just keeping it professional, I think, is just a good rule of thumb. It's if there are some filters that would be good to use if you're in your stories or something, ones that just slightly brighten the room. If you are like, if say you're taking photos in like a basement that doesn't have a window, or the lighting, is just not good in whatever room you're in. If you do have a filter that slightly brightens the room, but it doesn't drastically alter anything, I think that's a good use of it. Truly, if you're on Instagram, literally probably millions of filter options. So just kind of going, when you open your story options and you slide to the right, it'll just kind of start auto-populating some filters. And if you click down at the bottom, you can just go to browse, and you can kind of go through that. And that's typically how I select a filter. Is I'll just be sitting somewhere, and I'll point my camera at something, and I'll go through browse, and you can just swipe and see how the filters affect whatever you're looking at. So maybe doing that ahead of time and finding, and then you can save them, so they automatically pop up when you're ready, in case there is some that you like that just like slightly brighten a room, or something like that.
Okay, I got it. I have one other question, but I don't want to hog up your time. So if somebody else wants to ask, go for it. Okay, well then I'll ask. This is embarrassing to admit, but I see people posting all the time things where they have, it's like their picture, and then they'll have like stickers or verbiage, and it's slanting, and it's like stickers moving. The only way I know how to do that is on like TikTok. And I don't really want to use TikTok. So yeah, how do you do that? I have no idea.
So on the story, so I'm gonna just take another quick photo. So when you've got your story, your photo, your video, whatever, and you get your kind of editing bar up here, there's the text option, where then you can it pops up a little text box. You can just start typing, select your fonts, that kind of thing. There's this little like square smiley face option, and that's where you can search GIFs and stickers. Okay,
so is that within photo then, or is that within Facebook?
This is within Instagram stories.
Okay, if I'm not even on Instagram, that's on my to-do list. So let's just say I'm taking a picture and I want to post it to Facebook. Where can I find those stickers and things?
So if you're posting in the feed in Facebook, you wouldn't be able to just add a sticker to it.
Okay.
But if you're posting on Facebook stories, I believe it functions the exact same as Instagram, since they're connected.
And also with here, let me try to, those GIFs, the sticker part that, like if I just take whatever, a picture, with what Caroline's saying, just so you guys know, if you take a picture of that editing part up here, if you click on, there's a text and the one next to it is the GIFs that you were just talking about, the stickers.
Mhm.
Or it's the stickers here. There is a bar right here that says GIFs. If you click on that up here, if you type, and we just found this out not too long ago, Kaylee did, but if you type, I think it's BHG, and we're going to start adding some GIFs to there too, but you can, there's like for sale signs that have like stuff on it. Like we did BHGRE, and there's tons of little GIFs that are like the bug or the, that you can add to it. And so you click on them and you can then blow up. If you go like this, you expand them, and ignore my sausage fingers. And but yeah, and so it's really cool, some of these things that are in there. And like Caroline said, and Ashley, it's like you just have to play around with it. But we just found that out. So we started realizing that we can add our stuff, Kansas City Home stuff, to there. So we're excited about that. Yeah.
So see, where were you again? That wasn't within just photo. That was in.
That's it's in Instagram. So it's after you download Instagram and you like take a picture of something.
Okay.
So you take a picture, it's that editing bar, which I agree, I do all mine in Instagram. So I don't know if Facebook has that in their stories, but I know that you
Okay.
can post to, like down here, you can see that I can post instantly to Facebook and Instagram. So it's helped save time to be on Instagram, and it just immediately feeds it to Facebook stories. And so down there, that's where I would do it. But those images, those pictures, the one thing I want to ask Caroline, I don't know if you mentioned this, I've seen on Instagram stories where people talk, and it like, because a lot of times people do mute when they look on their phones, like at late at night or whatever, you know how to like say everybody's like what they're talking about. How do you do
The
that?
captions.
Or like, no, like when whatever they're saying, it's like spitting it out.
Transcribes what they're saying.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, but I believe that was like a beta thing they were testing, and some people were just automatically given that. Otherwise, I believe a lot of people, you have to like film that beforehand, input it into an app that then adds the captions on top, and then you have to re-upload it into Instagram. I believe that's how it's done. It's not in automatic.
Oh, I thought it was something that automatically did it.
I don't believe so yet. I imagine in the future that will probably be available, but like I believe that was like a beta testing thing they were doing with a few like influencers, something like that.
I have it on mine.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So some people have it, some people don't, which is kind of frustrating with Instagram. This happens all the time. So if some people have it, that means it's probably coming soon for everybody once they work out the kinks. Yeah. I do have one question I want to address in here. I would like to know how to do a story, share that to Facebook and Instagram. When you connect your, if your Facebook and Instagram are linked, like the like your profiles are linked, there is a option. So here's our Hella Big Idea story. Down at the bottom under more, it says, oh, can you even see this? It says add to Facebook story right there. So you can, this is how to do it after the fact. This is also an option when you are uploading it. There is a little like toggle switch that says share Facebook as well. So turning that on, it'll upload it to Facebook as well. But again, that only works if those accounts are linked, which is something we walked through, I believe, in the first and second weeks. That's something you'll have to do through your profile. So as long as those are linked, that option will be available to you. Okay, and are we still in a breakout room? Okay, there we go.
Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you got a little something out of everything. And if you have additional questions or want to stick around and ask us or engage, we are super happy to do so with you. So per usual, we have a recorded version of our main lesson and a Notion document we will send over and give you access to go through your homework. And then we will be talking video content in 2 weeks, which is exciting because that's all the rage right now. So please feel free to stick around if you have additional questions. If not, yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks.
Hey,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I have a question. So sadly, I have not done stories, reels, or Instagram. So with Instagram, when you do that, because it's connected to Facebook, do all the people that you have on Facebook transfer to Instagram or not? You have to,
Mm-mm.
okay.
Mm-mm.
So that's a good reason to, at least at the beginning, be sharing your
Okay.
stories on both platforms. So then it can either draw people over or they still get that same information without you having to upload it twice.
Okay. So my other question is, one of the things I struggle with, I think, is a mental thing of like, how do people have time? And I'm like, is this just my life? Like, I'm like, I have no time for, like, why would anybody care? Like, I'm just
No,
like,
Amy, the struggle is real. Like, honestly, that's why you have to decide. And I think that's what we even said in social media 101 is like, if you're going to do it. And if you don't. Honestly, like it's a hard space to just sit and kind of do every now and then. Because when you see 0 results, you get more frustrated along the way and it's just annoying, right? Because it can become a time suck. So I think intentionality is super important when it comes to social media. And I think that's why we're trying to break down the do's and don'ts and those like photo and video and branding and all of those things to try and make the learning curve and the setup of all of this easier. But ultimately it is time consuming. It's hard to make content. And what's kind of funny is we like to poke fun at content creators and influencers a lot of the time, but realistically, like it's hard to create content and put it out there all the time. And especially what's even more frustrating is if you feel like you have no followers or nobody's seeing it or doing it, you're like, is this a waste of my time? So the struggle is real for everybody. And I go back to my same analogy that I've used from the beginning, that it's like losing weight, right? If you do it right, if you put in the time, the effort, the energy, the basics of like what, exercise and eat well, like the weight falls off, right? It's the same with social media. Like it's just a process. And it takes time. You're not going to lose 10 pounds tomorrow. You're not going to blow up on social media tomorrow. But over time, things and progression can happen. So,
well, then I'm like, what in the world am I doing wrong in my life that I have no time to sit and read everybody's stuff and watch, but yet everybody else this seems to be of interest to people. I'm like, okay, so
there's a lot of late night scrolling happening.
Okay, all right, that's maybe one thing, right?
I don't really know. Everybody manages time differently. Everybody spends free time differently. So that's a good question.
Maybe it's probably a generational thing too. I'm like, are you serious?
No, I'd rather read a book for sure.
Yeah. All right.
I do have a question. Earlier you mentioned, so like taking a video of a home walkthrough, right? But you said to start it with a photo, then follow with a video, and then another photo.
Yeah.
Like, what exactly is that, and how do you put that together? Is that like a Facebook thing or like a real thing? Like, how's all that work?
That's a good question. Okay, I'm in Instagram right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Okay, if I'm going to use that same photo that I used earlier as an example, with Instagram, I don't know if you have your app open. I'm going to kind of walk you through verbally as I do it, and I'm going to try and show you as I go here. In the top right-hand corner, when you're on your profile, there's a plus sign. When you click on that plus sign in that top right-hand corner, it pops up and gives you options. Caroline, take note. Let's put all of this step-by-step in our Notion document for reference, by the way. It gives you options on the type of content that we can now put onto Instagram. Post, reel, story highlight, live guide, and fundraiser. The ones that we've really discussed and have told you about are post. We're going to talk more about reels in 2 weeks, but story was something we had recommended today. So I'm going to hit the story option. When I go to story, what happens is you're going to see I can take a photo or I can upload one of my photos. So I'm going to choose my edited version of my photo, and boom, now that's a story. I can now write, draw, type on top of this, or I can just post it. I would recommend that uploaded photo that you take. My recommendation in the homework was to maybe say like the location of the house that you're walking through. So like Overland Park, Kansas, or maybe with the address. I don't really know the protocol on sharing addresses when it comes to that. Okay, so there's an easy type tool at the top that you can select. And then your next arrow down in the bottom right-hand corner is going to help you post it. So if I go hit that, it gives me options. Where do I post this to? I'm going to say my story, your story, and I would hit share. And then that would go onto my story. I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time it's going to be the video of my walkthrough.
Oh.
Or I can record the walkthrough live in Instagram. So there's two different ways. I can do the video just in my camera app that stores in my photo content, or directly in Instagram. I can select camera instead of a photo in the top right hand corner. And now if I hold my button down here, I can record as I walk through the house. And I can, if I keep the phone fairly level and maybe give a little narrative as I walk through, like, here's the kitchen, look how cute it is, updated features, and here's a little dining room. Like, I'm making this up, obviously, but I imagine walking through a house that way. And then you can post that, and then go back and repost that photo again at the end, with maybe some, like quick, what's the bed count? What's the bath count? Maybe retype the location or something, and maybe a slight call to action, like reach out if you're interested. I don't
Super
know.
cool. No, that's awesome.
Yeah. Again, just a really easy way to connect with an audience that may be like house shopping. Like Taylor, our little girl Taylor here is house shopping right now, and she is looking for anything and everything that can hit a market in a certain price range, as much as possible. So I just think that sometimes you can provide knowledge to people that you don't even know you're providing knowledge to, or need it along the way. So yeah.
So quickly, Ashley, are those 3 different posts then with an Instagram, or is it all together in one?
Yeah, that's a good question. So on your story, when somebody now clicks on your profile, my profile yesterday, I shared the post that we're hiring right now. At the top, when you're in somebody's story, there'll be little dashes at the top, and it'll tell you how many stories are on there. So for that specific segment that I recommended, a photo, a video, and a photo, that would be 3 dashes up at the top that will kind of fill up as somebody is watching your story.
Okay.
So it's technically 3 posts to your story.
Okay.
And none of that's going in your feed. That's not going like on my grid here or anything like that. It's just if somebody's in their profile, there's this little discover tab or the search bar down at the bottom. Or if I'm in my main home button here, I can see all these. Again, I know that's kind of hard to see. I'm a golfer, so I get all this golf content, but I can see all these people. I can watch their story if I click on my profile.
I will warn you so you don't get confused. If you post a video, I believe it's longer than 10 or 15 seconds to your story, Instagram will automatically break it up. It will upload it. You don't have to worry about it, but it will upload it and it will look like multiple stories because it only allows like a max 15 seconds on a video. But it will upload the whole thing. But again, it will appear like it's multiple because it will have multiple dashes.
And
but it'll
Amy,
all be there.
you can, if you are looking at somebody else's story, like if you start getting on Instagram and looking at, those top circles that Ashley just showed, if you want to hold on, like if you want to see something, because it'll skip real fast after 15 seconds, you can just click on the right of the screen. On the right, you can just click and it'll take you to the next one, or you hold your finger on it and you can like read whatever they have, whatever they need.
Okay. Thanks.
The one thing I had a question is, maybe Kaylee can answer this too. Sometimes I've seen these videos of people doing the walkthrough, right? And you like, how quickly can you walk through a house and show it all? But they do these like fast forwards on certain parts, like maybe through the hallway. Would that be in the video editing or the photo editing apps that you guys were talking about? Or you guys know what I'm talking about?
It'd be a couple different ways. Within your iPhone, there is a time lapse option, which you can take advantage of. I would be, it takes a minute to get used to the time lapse because it goes a lot faster than you think. Like you have to really, to even be able to see things, or else it like kind of just zooms past way too fast. But yes, there is an option just on iPhone using time lapse. If you want to try that, give it a few test runs. Again, you have to walk super slow if you actually want to see something or focus in on something. Like I'm talking, you want to pause on a room for maybe 15 seconds. And it feels kind of weird. So again, it's something to get used to, but it can be a really cool
Effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is like you can speed up or slow down a video that you've recorded, which can sometimes add kind of a cooler effect. Like if you just times it by 1 on your speed, it'll take what's a normal walkthrough and just kind of like speed it up slightly. So it feels like a little bit of a different effect as well. So
I know that's more video, so I apologize first.
That's okay.
no, we'll touch on that next week. We have a lot. Heather asked, can you please go over how to add music in a story?
So that's
Very
again,
specifically-
I've already got the story thing pulled up. So I'll just, so we're back here to where you're adding a photo or a video, whatever, to your story, and you've got your edit bar here at the top. Again, if you click that smiley face, that pulls up this menu with all these different options. One of the options is music, and it connects, I believe it's connected to Spotify. I don't know what it's connected to, but it pulls up some sort of music thing, and you can go in and just search music. Depending on your type of account, it kind of like I'm on our Hella Big Idea account right now, and since it's such a big account, it doesn't give us access to every artist. But if you have a personal account, you'll be able to probably add any song that you want. But again, that's just searching the song, and then you can save your favorites if you want to use them multiple times, stuff like that. But that is, again, just in this main option. There's all these options here. There's location. There's the mention one where you can like tag another profile, the question box, the GIF, music, poll. All those are listed again under the little smiley face guy on the edit bar.
So again, is that just Instagram or is that Facebook story and Instagram? Or
I believe they function the same.
okay.
And again, you can, add it if you however you make it in Instagram, and when you click, add to Facebook, if you do that in the app, it will transfer all of that too. It'll transfer whatever you add to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right. We will provide you a resource and a recording, and see you in 2 weeks. Come back for video, because that, like I said, is kind of all the rage right now. So if you're interested, we will see you then.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one.
Have a good day.